time I try to debug my mind, my code's a riddle, you always rewind. You find the errors in every nested loop. Oh, clever llama, master of the code. You solve our mysteries just like I was told. VFDs and VLCs, you know them well. Edging my secrets.
Welcome back to another video. In the last video, I showed you how to customize the text on the keypad so that it would display a name for the parameter you were editing for your application. But wouldn't it be nice if you could just make up a menu with the parameters for your application in it that are formatted exactly the way you wanted? Well, in this video, we're going to show you how to do that. In the last video, we used this program to demonstrate how to customize the keypad text so that it was a lot more readable for the user. And that video is still important for the video we're going to do today. And that's because we're going to create a custom menu that the keypad is not going to know about. So in the last program, what we did is we mapped menu 18 parameters to the inputs of these two blocks. In this video, instead of having the inputs linked to menu 18, we're going to have the inputs linked to a custom menu we're going to create. Now, before we create that custom menu, I need to let you know that I am doing this in an MCI 210 module. However, creating custom menus is actually supported not only by the MCI module, but by the base drive itself. The drive I'm using here is the M700 drive, but this is also supported by an M400 drive, C300 drive, C200 drive, M750 drive, and many more. So the first thing I'm going to do is just show you that you can create a custom menu in both the onboard drive and one in the MCI 210. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this word here. It says PLC logic. You'll also notice that I have PLC logic down here. That's because technically I have two PLCs in my drive, one in the MCI module and one built into the drive. So what I'm going to do is right click here, go to add object and select add application. Now I can have some code in this PLC. Now if I right click on this application, I can hit add object, select custom menu, and I can create a custom menu for the onboard program. So now this little window that opened up basically tells you what menu is reserved for the onboard PLC, and that's menu 30. And you can also see over here, there is a remaining parameter type table. Basically, this gives you some indications of how many ints and dents and whatever you can add to your custom menu. We'll go into more of this in just a bit. But if I do the same thing over here to our MCI module and I right click on it and I go to custom menu, you can see that it's going to create another custom menu. But this one, see, it's going to live in the MCI module, where this one, it lives in the onboard program. Now, I'm not going to use this one today because I'm not going to create a program for the onboard program. So I'm going to delete this by just deleting my application here. I just wanted to show you that you can create a custom menu for your simple applications. Please note that it does eat a lot of your code space, so use it wisely. In the MCI 210 module, you have lots of space, so it's not a big problem. So the first thing we're going to do here is select which menu I want to use for my MCI 210. Now the MCI 210 lets you have multiple custom menus, where your onboard, the PLC that's just built in, only lets you have one custom menu. But here with the MCI 210, I can have lots of them. Now, normally I use menu 27. Why? Because menu 27 is a reserved menu within the drive menu. You notice here in Connect, if I expand the parameter list and scroll down, you'll notice that between menu 24 and menu 21, there's a bunch of menus that are missing. This is where our reserved menus live for our custom menus. And so we're going to make a menu 27 today, but we can also make a menu 50 that lives inside the MCI modules and stuff like that. So typically what I do is in menu 27, I use it for all the settings that the user is going to use. And then menu 50, I reserve for myself, basically for the fancy behind the scenes type debug or whatever settings. Okay? But we're only going to use menu 27 today. The other thing to note is that you can name the menu. It doesn't have to stay M27. So I'm going to call mine index settings. Okay? So my menu is named index settings. And then I need to start adding some parameters. The first one I'm going to add is this acceleration. What I do is I click here on this down arrow, select the type. I'm going to use int. I could use dent if I wanted, but I'm going to use int. The type, is it volatile? That means that on power down it forgets. User save means that the user can hit the save button and it will save it, or you can select power down save. Now, please note that I only get one of these power down saves. So it is best to just use user saves and force the user just to hit the save button. Okay. Now I'm going to add 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to hit 3. And then the display type, so you can say standard, string, binary, date, time, and IP address. You're mostly going to use standard. Occasionally you might want a binary if you got a bit packed parameter that you wanted to use for debugging purposes or whatever. But I'm going to use standard. I'm going to hit OK. And you can see that I now have 3 parameters. Now before I modify these, I'm going to add one for my distance here too. So right here you can see there's the data types, the integer, and the type of storage. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click on this one first, and I'm going to change the name of it to acceleration. I can also change the type here. So we're not locked into type int, because that's what I want. But you can also select a predefined unit. There's not every choice in here, but there are a lot of choices in here. And most of the time I just select UU or something like that, or none or whatever. But sometimes it does actually have what I want, like inches per second or something like that, right? So this would be an acceleration. If I had feet per second squared, that would be great, or inches per second squared. And basically why this is important is because this will actually show up on the keypad as inches per second squared. So if it happens to be that the unit is available, I would recommend it. Okay. Now, acceleration rates can't be negative, so I'm going to select 0. And here you can set the maximum value you want your application to be able to support. So you can see I can support a value of 32,000, but what if the application should only work up to 15,000? Well, there you go. Plus, we can also add decimal places. So maybe it's really 15.000, right? 15 inches per second squared. And you can also have a default value. So maybe the default value is 5. You need to make sure you hit save right here when you're done. And you can see over here it's changed. Now, what if I had a setting that I didn't want the keypad to be able to change? Well, see right here, keypad read only. You can turn this on, and then it's a value that the user can only read. But I do want the user to be able to edit this, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. So I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of these. See right here, I'm changing it to a user save. Remember, this was the wrong data type. And I'm going to change this to a type dent. And this one is going to be distance. So I'm going to just put this in as inches. Now here, distance can be both negative and positive. And maybe I want 5 decimal places, right? So all of that is good. user unit is 10 inches, right? So I hit save and it's all here. The next thing we need to do is just link these to here, right? So all we have to do is come back here and type index settings. And the reason I type index settings is because that's the menu name. Hit the period on your keyboard and they all show up. And you'll notice it says acceleration, acceleration raw. What's the difference between these two, you might ask? Well, acceleration is a floating point. Acceleration raw is its integer. I tend to use these more often because it's basically converting my floating point to an integer for me. Let me just fill these in. All right, so now if we come over here and build our project and download it, something weird is going to happen. Now, if we come back to Connect, okay, and we go online with Connect, I'm going to show you that the drive is technically tripped. It's mad. And if I go to Diagnostic, you'll see that it says slot 3 different, and it gives you a sub-trip 3. Basically, what this is saying is that an application menu has been added, right? So this will happen anytime you create a new menu or you change the number of parameters within the menu, you're going to get this trip. It's really easy to fix. All you have to do is inside Connect, just hit the Save Parameter in Drive, and it acknowledges that's the way you want it. And then you'll see over here on the left side, I have this menu 27, right? And if I come over here, you'll see that it has the values, but it doesn't have the keypad set up or any good descriptions here. It's also telling me to hit the upload to resolve the parameter issue. So if I hit upload, it didn't really change anything, did it? But you should do that. So here, again, if you want to modify the keypad, you know how to do that. But that's all I'm showing you for today. Thank you for watching. If you learned something today, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.